Hi everyone, my name is Madysonarthur with Windermere Real Estate, and today we're going to be chatting about some of the frequently asked questions that I find home buyers have when entering the market, especially here in Seattle, Washington. So today we're going to talk about those questions. I'm going to answer them the best that I can, and I hope this kind of helps you get started if you are a first-time home buyer or someone looking to kind of get refreshed, especially on what the market is like here. Okay, so let's jump into it. Okay, so the first question is, what are some of the things to look for when you're starting a home inspection or touring your homes? So the first thing I'll say is you're going to want to bring a tape measure, a marble or something that rolls, and a flashlight. And I'm going to discuss why these are some of the things that you want to bring. But first, we're going to kind of jump into the basics. Okay, so in Seattle, one of the most important things that you're going to want to look at is the roof. And you can see if a roof has a good exterior just by walking around and seeing its condition. You can also look at the cracks on the ceilings to make sure that they haven't been painted over. Sometimes you can kind of tell. And you also want to do that by grabbing a flashlight and shining that around to kind of check to make sure the ceilings are in good condition. Another important one in this region is looking for flooding. So you're going to want to walk around the exterior of the house and look for puddles or stains that could be from water buildup, anything that could sign to improper drainage of the home. Okay, so next is your foundation. When you're walking around, I recommend bringing a rolling item such as a marble and checking to see if the foundation and flooring is leveled. That's going to be really important, especially if you want to do any major renovations, but it also tells a lot about how this property was built. Was it made with a good, strong foundation? Now it's time to look at the systems of your home. Water heaters, and piping, electrical, anything that you can find and get your hands on. Check to see that it's in good working condition and that the age is reasonable, because you may want to get a home warranty or ask the seller questions about replacing certain things that may be hitting their expiration date soon. Now, if you have a basement, it's also a really good idea to go down there and just look around. Make sure that it's in good shape because, again, this is kind of down by the foundation of the home and you can see a lot, especially if things are exposed down there. So oftentimes I think buyers sometimes get too fixated on the cosmetics of things. So one of the big key things here when you're touring is to also look at how the home will function for you. So make sure to check how storage looks, make sure to look at the overall layout of the home with a lot of intent, and don't just focus on the cosmetics of things. On the same line of thought, make sure to check the electrical outlets, and those are important because they might dictate where you can place furniture around your house. So don't forget that. It's a small detail that I think is often overlooked. Same goes for windows. Sometimes they can change the layout of what you kind of imagine in your head for things like TVs and wall fixtures. So don't forget to check all those little details because you might move in and realize, well shoot, the layout that I had in mind might not really work for this house. If you have furniture that you don't want to sell, definitely bring a tape measure to kind of check all of the measurements for different rooms that you have in mind. Now, looking beyond just the actual home itself, make sure you do a good walk around the neighborhood. I even recommend doing it at night to see what the feel is, just to make sure it's somewhere that you want to feel comfortable living in. Also, don't forget to do a quick test run of the commute if it's somewhere that you're kind of iffy on in terms of the drive, because that can be really, really dependent on traffic, especially in Seattle-Bellevue where a commute might be 20 minutes one day and then 45 minutes at rush hour. So definitely check that too if it's a home that you're really serious about. How long does the overall home buying process take? Well, my general kind of comment is that it can take about 2 to 4 months. But it really strongly depends on how ready someone is to purchase. I have seen it take longer than that many times, but this is kind of how the whole process goes. So you'll start with meeting a lender and they'll help you secure financing for a loan. If you are getting a loan, you can also do cash, which will decrease your timeline by a lot. But they typically take about 1 to 2 weeks, a little bit less, a little bit more, to get you a pre-approval letter, which you'll need for touring homes. Touring homes is then kind of the next step with your real estate broker. Now this process can take anywhere from 1 week to multiple months. ultimately until you find a property that you really like. And then from contract, negotiation to close, that timeline might look like around 1 month. Usually 30 days is the standard, but that can change again if you have cash, that could be shorter. And if you have other contingencies in place that you need longer time for, that could also be a little bit longer. I've done a 50-day close before, for example. So overall, penciling out about 2 months is pretty normal. But again, however long it takes you to really find that property can be person specific. So let's just say a few months, generally speaking. Okay, so the next question number 3, is how to find a good real estate broker. So the first kind of recommendation I have is to find someone that you know, like, and trust, but above all else, someone who really cares about the due diligence process. And this is the process of finding a really good investment. So are they willing to give you all of the proper paperwork, from inspection reports to title reports, CC&Rs and HOA documents? Are they going to really vet out a home for you? Do they have a good inspector that they can refer? Another trait I recommend kind of looking for is someone who's very responsive and communicative, because there's a lot of quick timelines and fast-paced details that you're going to need to move quickly on. And also someone willing to negotiate for you and advocate for you is really important. Another quality to look for is someone who can break down and kind of educate you on a lot of different topics. So for example, during the contract writing period, there's a lot of legal documents. So it's important to have someone who can articulate them in a way that you can easily understand. And the last one I'll say is someone who has strong relationships with brokers in the area, lenders, and lots of different contractors and kind of people in their community. This is really important because having a well-connected broker is essential for getting you all of the resources that you need. And even in a negotiation process, relationships with other brokers can be really valuable. People want to work with people that they like. So I definitely recommend someone who's likable and can communicate well with other people and is just generally well connected in their community. That, I think, is really, really important. Okay, so one of the next big questions is, should you rent or buy? And that is an interesting one, because I think a lot of people have fear about purchasing right now, rightfully, because of these interest rates. And I know some people say, well, there's been higher interest rates, like 14%, whatever. However, a 7% interest rate for a $100,000 property is very different than an $850,000 property. And so I understand that a lot of people's purchasing power is a lot lower. So here's my general rule of thumb and recommendation. If you're looking to buy, I think that it's a right move if you plan to live somewhere for a pretty long period of time, a minimum of 5 years, because this will allow you, in most markets, and if you strategically plan out where you're going to purchase, a lot of equity building potential. And so what you can do, and what I really recommend, is if you're first starting out, start off small. Don't buy based off of your wants, buy based off of your needs. And then you can stepstone your way into a property that is kind of your end-all be-all goal. And I think that's a great way to build wealth in today's kind of environment. Now, when it makes more sense to rent is when you're going to be in a less stable situation. Maybe you're thinking of moving in the next couple of years, you're not sure if you're ready to plant roots. Equity is a long-term game, and you won't necessarily find that your property value is going to increase in 1 year's time. It might, it definitely might. There's times that can happen, but it is a little bit more risky. And so I would, again, recommend, if you plan to stay somewhere more long-term, consider buying, and if you're a little bit more flexible, then keep to renting until you're really ready to settle down. Now, I will preface this by saying this is someone who's going to live in their property. An investment is a totally different scenario, and I will be making videos specifically for investors down the line, because that's a whole different strategy, and we'll talk about in another video. Alright, next question. What is a home warranty? A home warranty is like a service contract that you can purchase for about 1 year. So let's say the heating system is old or something breaks, then for about a year after you purchase the house, this company can come and fix it for you. So definitely a thing I recommend getting. They're not super expensive, but if something comes up, you know, it's a really, really nice thing to have. Alright, so what is a pre-approval letter? A pre-approval letter is a document that you get from your lender once they've kind of done all of the due diligence about you as a buyer. And it's a statement that you can provide when writing an offer saying that you are financially prepared to purchase a house. And this statement is really, really important because it's going to give you a leg up over other offer writers, and it's just a good way to be, you know, prepared when looking for homes overall. Alright, that's it for the video. Those are some of the questions that I thought would be nice to answer. If you have any others that you want me to kind of talk about, comment that down below because I will be making more videos in the future. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.